I first started making video essays about Batman the Animated Series following the death of beloved Batman voice actor Kevin Conroy. It may sound strange, but I felt profound grief when he passed away, and I was advised to do something creative to help process my despair. And I've got to be honest, it really has helped. Over the years, this has brought me into contact with some of the people that worked on these shows, and I have become passionate about giving them a platform to share their recollections of working on these wonderful shows. I am filled with despair when I think about the people that worked on the show that are no longer with us. Composer Shirley Walker, director Boyd Kirkland, writers Michael Reeves and Marty Pascoe, and how their knowledge and experience is lost to us forever. So you can imagine my delight when I was informed of writer W.R. Miller, known as Bob to his friends, and his upcoming books, Batman the Animated Interviews. Bob very generously arranged for his publisher to send me digital copies of all 5 volumes of his work, and I've been absolutely blown away by what he's achieved. Bob is an Emmy-winning artist that has worked on a number of tremendous shows over the years, including The Simpsons, Scooby-Doo, and Courage the Cowardly Dog, to name but a few. But he is equally proficient as an author, writing about the animation industry and Star Wars in particular. After reading the first volume, which is over 800 pages long, I felt compelled to share my enthusiasm about these books. They really are a tremendous asset for anyone that is as obsessed about these cartoons as I am. Given that there are over 4,000 pages of interviews, and I want to keep this video fairly brief, let's talk about 5 key points that I took away from these books. So, first of all, the interviews took place between 1992 and 2022. So that's about 30 years worth of interviews. And they're not all just dumped in sequence. So, for instance, all interviews with Paul Dini followed by all interviews with Alan Burnett and so on. No, they form a narrative that reveals the behind-the-scenes stories around how the show was made. It's less about individual episodes. Now, there are anecdotes about some, sure, but it's mostly about the series as a whole. The second thing to remember is the interviewees. Bob has spoken to lots of people that you never normally hear from. For instance, vehicle designers Jonathan Fisher and Shayne Poindexter, as well as background designer Ted Blackman. They are all essential people that contributed to the look of the show, but rarely get to talk about their contributions. You also get all of the usual suspects like Bruce Timm, Alan Burnett, and so on. But the interviews with the less prominent members of the team were the most insightful to me. Additionally, there are interviews with people that are no longer with us, like Shirley Walker and Boyd Kirkland. So getting their thoughts and reflections on the record is a very powerful thing for me. Now, probably the biggest thing about these interviews is the fact that they contain some rarely shared insights. So for instance, I've always wondered why the episode Fear of Victory doesn't have its own soundtrack and instead reuses music from Nothing to Fear. This book has the answer, casually mentioned by Bruce Timm, and it wasn't at all what I thought it would be. Similarly, there are some other really cool anecdotes like Ted Blackman talking about his anxiety, about redesigning characters drawn by Jack Kirby, with Kirby looking over his shoulder while he was doing it when they worked on another show. And then, probably, the biggest revelation is Eric Radomski putting the record straight on why they stopped using Tim Curry as the Joker, and he was really frank about it, which I found a little surprising. My fourth point is the sheer size and volume of the material. I've already mentioned the fact that Volume 1 is over 800 pages, and across all 5 volumes there are over 4,000 pages of interviews. This is probably the most exhaustive and extensive resource for any Batman the Animated Series fan. Now, maybe a bit too niche for casual fans. Does the average fan really care about what 1992's Paul Dini had to say about network censorship? But for me, it's absolutely wonderful. My final point is that the book includes scans and photographs of some rarely seen material. Like a mock broadcast standard and practices note that Bruce Timm put together and printed on a t-shirt. There's also the sketch that Tim Burton did of his version of Catwoman over the original Catwoman model sheet. There are also storyboards from Brad Rader and Kevin Altieri, of which I have already made animatics, but they focused on the action in the panel, whereas these include all of the notes and descriptions. This really is a tremendous resource that I cannot recommend enough to hardcore fans of Batman the Animated Series. I had mentioned that there were 5 volumes in total, and they cover the entire spectrum of the DC animated universe, shows and movies that involve Batman. Volume 2 goes into similar detail about the making of Batman Mask of the Phantasm and Batman vs. Mr. Freeze Sub-Zero, and has retrospectives from many of the creative people from Volume 1. Volume 3 starts by talking to the key figures from the new Batman adventures, before moving focus to the voice actors of these shows, and features interviews with voice director Andrea Romano, as well as several members of the cast that are no longer with us, including Richard Moll, Arlene Sorkin, and David Warner, who amusingly couldn't remember working on Batman but had many fond memories of Freakazoid, and of course, the late beloved Kevin Conroy. Volume 4 gives a similar treatment to Batman Beyond, with interviews relating to the making of the series, its direct-to-DVD movie Batman Beyond Return of the Joker, as well as Terry McGinnis's appearances across other DCAU shows like Static Shock, The Zeta Project, and Justice League Unlimited. And the final volume, Volume 5, is all about the DCAU Batman's appearances after the year 2000, with interviews related to Justice League Unlimited, Static Shock, and Justice League vs. The Fatal Five, as well as a few other non-DCAU related Kevin Conroy as Batman projects, like Batman Gotham Knights and Justice League Crisis on Two Earths, and finally closes out with a series of interviews talking about why Batman the Animated Series has had such lasting appeal. The first volume comes out on the 15th of November for $115 or £91 as a hardback book. Soft covers are coming out in a few months, and are significantly cheaper, priced at $65 or £55, and it will also be available to buy digitally. I was told that a new volume would be made available each month, but Amazon gives each volume the release date of the 15th of November, but that could be an error, so I guess we'll just have to wait and see. Alternatively, if you'd rather bypass Amazon entirely, you can buy them directly from the publisher, Bear Manor Media, which I have linked to in the description and the info button in the top right corner. And if you would really like to help me out, you can use my Amazon affiliate link to order these books. I will get a small commission from each sale through my link, but please don't feel pressured to use that. Thank you for watching this video. I hope you've enjoyed it, and now that I've finished this, I need to crack on reading Volume 2. If you would like to learn more about this book or later volumes in the series, let me know in the comments and I'll see what I can do. Thank you for watching, take care, and goodbye.